Hi there, in this video we're going to talk about points, lines, and planes and the kind of basics of geometry. So why do I need to learn about this stuff? Points, lines, and planes are the foundation of geometry, and today we're going to talk about both defined and undefined terms that kind of make up the basis of everything that we use to learn about geometry. So the first thing that we're going to talk about are undefined terms. Undefined terms, they are something that everyone agrees on, but they don't have like an official definition. It's kind of weird, but points and lines and betweenness are the undefined terms. So basically a point, which I'm sure you've all seen, you can even look at this laser pointer here, point, is a dot that has no dimension. So literally it's something that's in space. So it's really something that's super teeny, like I'm just making a couple dots right here. They're black ones. I'm not sure you can see them here. Okay, it's something that has no dimension. It takes up no space, but it's a point. We always name points with a capital letter, so you're going to see them like A or W. A lot of times they call it P for point because it makes sense because point starts with P. Okay, the next one is a line. A line is made from 2 points, and it extends forever on each side. So it only takes 2 points to make a line, and exactly one line can go through any 2 points. It's like unique. So if I draw 2 points here, I can only have one line that goes through it, both of those points. If I draw another line, it's going to have to go through 2 different points. One of the points might be the same, but they have to be 2 distinct points, 2 different points. Now, when we name a line, because it's made of 2 points, we can name it with our points. So on this line that I have drawn right here, we call this line AB. And we put a little line over the top like this. Now, this is the same as line BA. I can name my points backwards and it means the same thing. And sometimes I like to get all fancy on you and just name your line with a letter, so they can also call this line L. And they'll use cursive lowercase letters, so you might see line M or line P or line N, but they're always going to be cursive lowercase if they name a line. Okay, next, plane. Okay, a plane is made up from 3 points that are not on the same line. And we draw a plane to look like this kind of 4-sided shape, even though a plane extends forever in both directions. So the thing that's easiest for students to see is wherever you're sitting right now, I want you to look at a wall or look at the floor, look at your ceiling, okay? That's a plane. A plane is going to extend forever in 2 directions. Now, obviously, a wall is going to hit another wall in the room that you're in, but I want you to imagine it going forever in the up and down direction and forever in the left and right direction. That's what it means to be a plane. Now, we name a plane that are made out of 3 points. So this plane right here, I can call plane ABC. Those are the 3 points. Or they can get all fancy on you again, and this time they're going to do capital, and they usually bold them letters. So this one is capital R, and they'll make them all fancy, like in your textbook, that might be like an R, kind of fancy like that. So that's how we name a plane. And just something to think about is, because a plane is made up of 3 points, think about if you've ever gone anywhere or like sat in a chair that's wiggly, you're like, oh man, I have a wiggly chair. It's because it only takes 3 points to make a plane. And if you're on the one that's wiggly, that last point is technically not in the plane. It's not in the same plane as the floor. So that's why your chair is going to be wiggly. So when you're trying to balance something, if you've ever seen those guys on the side of the road, that's called surveying, or you put a camera on and you want to hold it down, you use a tripod because it takes 3 points to make a plane, and you can adjust those feet to be on the exact plane that you need to be on. That's why they do it with 3 and not 4. Okay, so let's talk about some defined terms. So these are some words that you're going to need to know. The first word is collinear. I want you to look at this word collinear and you see the word line. Collinear means I have points that are on the same line. So if I had a line like this, okay, all these points, are on the same line. They're collinear. Okay, non-collinear not on the same line. So if I put a point up here, we'll call this W. W is not on line AB, not on the same line. Okay, coplanar, even though you don't see the whole word plane, it says plan, it means they're on the same plane. So if we go to our plane that we had up here, points up here, A, B, and C, are coplanar, which means they're on the same plane. I could pick another point. I could pick this point up here. We'll call it X. X is non-coplanar. That's another vocabulary word. It means not on the same plane. Okay, so we can look down here and we can ask ourselves a couple questions. Can you find 2 points that are collinear in this picture? There's 2 answers you could pick. Okay, Z and Y are collinear. They're on the same plane. They're drawn on the same plane. Or sorry, on the same line. Z and Y are on the same line. And then we want to also look for, do you see any other points that are on the same line? Yeah, X and V are also on the same line. Can you pick 2 non-collinear points? 2 points that are not on the same line? There's a lot of choices. I'm going to pick Y and W. They're not on the same line. Could you draw a line through Y and W? You could, but in this picture, they're not on the same line, so I can say in this photo, they're non-collinear. Now, coplanar, I need to choose 3 points on the same, well, any points on the same plane, so I'm going to choose points on the same plane. I can pick W, Z, X, and Y. All of those points are coplanar. They're on the same plane. But V is non-coplanar to plane R. Okay, plane R has points on here, W, X, Y, and Z. W, X, Y, and Z, but V down here is not on the plane. And just to point out, this line right here, you see how it's dashed? It means it's going through, so it's kind of like underneath the plane. So it's how we would 3-dimensionally draw it. Okay, we got more vocabulary still. Lots of vocabulary in geometry. The next thing that we need to talk about is a line segment, or just a segment. And I like to think of it as just part of a line. So if I'm looking here at line AB, a line segment, I'm just going to focus on this part of my line. Basically, you can think of it as like cutting off the ends of your line and you're just looking at it. So a line segment is going to have a start. I'm starting here and I'm stopping here, which are these are what we call endpoints. Whereas a line just goes on forever in both directions, like it keeps going this way and this way. But an endpoint has a beginning and an end. And so we write it as AB and we put a segment over top of it with no arrows. And you could also call it BA, like that. Okay? And then the other thing that we have to talk about is a ray. Now a ray is going to start at an endpoint and continue forever in one direction. So here, I'm going to start here at point P, and then I'm going forever in the direction where my arrow is. So I call this ray PQ, and I draw it like a ray over top of it. Now in math, some mathematicians are lazy, and they just draw like a half arrow like that. So you'll see that a lot of times handwritten. Now, ray PQ, this next example down here, this next ray, it starts at Q and it goes to the left. This one is different because when we name a ray, we have to name it where it starts. So it starts at Q and goes towards P. Or again, you can name it QP like that. Okay, but if we put them all together, we notice that we have opposite rays. So we have, if we started at P and we go in this direction, or we start at Q and we go this direction, together, what do you notice opposite rays make? Yeah, opposite rays equal a line. They will not add together. Together, they will make a line. Okay, so the last thing that we have to talk about is intersection. So Intersection is two figures that have a point in common, and I drew them out for you because it's the easiest to see that way. So we have three different types of intersection. I can have two lines or line segments, or a line and a segment, or a combination of the both, okay? Two lines are going to intersect at a point right here, and we are going to call this one the point of intersection. Okay? You can have a plane and a line intersect. So here's my plane and my line. They're intersecting. My line is going through my plane. Kind of think of it like you take a piece of paper and you poke a hole through it and you put your pencil in there, and kind of like, you know, if you're like wing your paper around your pencil, okay? That right here, this is also going to be your point of intersection. So a line and a plane also intersect at a point. Now here's the thing that's tricky to think about. I drew it out for you, but it's easiest if you look at two different walls. So I have these two walls in my room that I drew out. I have this orange plane or an orange wall, and I have this blue wall. And I want to look at where do they intersect. They intersect here on this line. So I have two planes intersect at a line. So this is my line of intersection. So lines intersect at a point and planes intersect at a line. I'm going to write that down. Lines intersect at a point and planes intersect at a line. And again, like the planes is easiest if you're looking at two walls. Look at two walls that touch each other and then see the line where they meet. That's going to be your line of intersection. Best way to visualize a plane. Let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.